Time for an unboxing video. What have we today, I wonder? Hulk. I bet it is Hulk. It has to be Hulk by this point. By the process of elimination, the odds are so strongly in favour of it being Hulk. It is our third and final helping of Steve Englehart Fantastic Force. And this is when it becomes even worse than it was before. And it was already the worst. This cover, pretty bad choice. But it was featured in Nightmare on Elm Street 5. This is volume 19. And it collects these comics listed here. By pre-ordering this on Amazon, thanks to their pre-order price guarantee, I saved 1 pence. I saved a single fucking penny. That's the end of that feature then. With this collection, I will explain the behind the scenes thing at the top here. At this point, Steve Englehart had been fired from writing Silver Surfman and West Coast Avengers for the same reason. His inclusion and insane devotion to his awful Willow character, and it will lead to him getting the sack from this book next. This is Fantastic Force, issue 321, promising us a fight between She-Hulks and Miss McDonald's. We even have Ron Lee art for this issue. Here is Steve Englehart's insertion of Marvel Editor-in-Chief Tom Falcon as the arch bad guy in his story. This one here, this issue, he admits himself, is a West Coast Avengers issue that he wrote. But then he swapped the characters for Fantastic Force when he got fired from Avengers. Basically, the timeline of Steve Englehart is he got fired from Silver Surfman, or he likes to say that he quit in protest over the book's editor forbidding him from continuing to write Willow. So then he brought Willow and made her a member of West Coast Avengers, one of the other books that he was writing. That book's editor did the same thing and told him to stop, and so he left the book, and now he is just down to writing Fantastic Force. And would you guess he tries to bring Willow onto the team? In the last epic collection, we saw him unsubtly remove Iris West from the team, creating a gap in the membership, obviously. There's only 3 members at the minute. Miss McDonald's, Hume on Fire and The Thing. And he clearly wants that 4th member to be Willow. So we have a bunch of issues all about Willow and his ongoing story for her. And then, like before, he gets told not to do that because Willow is only popular to Steve Englehart. And so he does the Steve Englehart thing of claiming he is quitting due to the conspiracy at Marvel Comics to ruin his stories. But he actually stays on the book for a few months and writes it under one of his unclever pen names. By the way, Willow is a character he even put in DC Comics he wrote. And this is where we really get into shit. He's obviously bitter that he's not allowed to write Willow in Fantastic Force. So these are passive-aggressive comics now. He is bitching and moaning about the editors and the readers wanting actual Fantastic Force stories and Fantastic Force characters instead of recycled West Coast Avengers plots and Willow. One of the first things Steve Englehart did on the book was get rid of Mr. Fantasticals and Invisible Wife, because in his deranged mind, he believes that they have ruined the book since day one and that nobody likes them. We also have a little bit of pettiness here because Simon Waltonson had the two of them join the Avengers, and now Steve Englehart pissed off that he's allowed to use his characters that he has no intention of using anyway. He also believes that Fantastic Four has never sold well since Stanley Lee and Jack Quimby, and that his run has revitalised the title, and it is selling the best it has ever sold. The truth is, it didn't. It sold terribly, but the editor, Daniel LaRusso, would tell his writers that the books were selling well to keep morale up. But yeah, now he brings in a team of clones of Fantastic Force. They all act like corny Silver Age parodies. And he is mocking you. This is what he thinks you want because you rejected his crap stories. If you enjoyed this run, however, he's still taking it out on you. You have to suffer his pettiness now. This is where it becomes even worse. The last 5 or 6 issues are dreams. These are things Steve Englehart wanted to do, but now he can't because he's been fired. His great ideas include another unused West Coast Avengers issue with Ultron, and this one where he has Franklin Fantasticals responsible for making Hugh on Fire and Kerry Washington be in love. Franklin Fantasticals controlled them into a rape marriage. Garbage. Absolute garbage. It is just a dream, but Steve Englehart is fucking obsessed with rape in the 80s. And I'm not wasting any more time talking about these shite Steve Englehart comics. We also have Doctor Strange and Mr. Doom, Triumph and Torrent, which is also in the Doctor Strange epic collections. I have never read this. My intention was waiting, hopefully, for a Doctor Strange by Roy Sternman omnibus, because this would be at the end and a fantastic ending to an omnibus. But I am convinced they are never going to do that omnibus. At best, they will do Doctor Strange Volume 4, and it'll have the 10 issues by Christopher Clairvoyant in there, which I do not want, and probably not even Triumph and Torrent, because it came out 5 or so years after. I just want an omnibus of Roy Sternman's Doctor Strange stories. I didn't want Christopher Clairvoyant comics in there, or shite fill-ins for the people who either don't read collections or who don't have the proper mental faculties to determine that some is significantly lower in quality. They just need to have every issue ever. Bonuses, and I don't care. Okay, I take that back, I do care. I don't recommend this. I don't recommend any epic collection, but when there's shit comics like this, there isn't any chance I am recommending them. Triumph and Torrent is the only thing worth reading in here, and I've not even read it, and I proclaim that. Actually, I am going to re-record this outro because I want to get this down and said right before Steve Englehart dies, and this becomes mean and insensitive. I hate Steve Englehart's comics, not because I read some deranged rantings on his website one time, but because his comics are vile. They are misogynistic, they are self-serving, they are unlikable. Yeah, the amount of rape, that there are 2 fucking characters in Fantastic Force alone, a book that he only wrote for 30 issues, that he manages to have at least 2 main characters be the victim of serial raping. That he thinks rape is a character arc or a characterisation. Miss McDonald's, barely out the door as a character, gets sabotaged instantly by Steve Englehart rewriting her as being gang raped off panel to the extent that she cannot even look at men anymore without feeling disgusted and angry. And rather than explore her as a victim her feelings and her complications. He only uses her rape to portray her in an extremist light, with stuff like her refusing to save Hume on fire because he is a man and he reminds her of her trauma, or her almost beating Devil to death because he is a man and he reminds her of her trauma. This is what he is suggesting as a hero too. A star of the book, a woman that he has made unhinged from off-panel repeated sexual assaults. A character he has absolutely broken. We would have had a similar thing with 3 other main characters: Hume on Fire, Kerry Washington, and Franklin Fantasticals. Actually, throw in Mr. Fantasticals and Invisible Wife too. Basically, 75% of the 4 main characters all being rendered unwritable by his intended reveal that the child of 2 of the main characters mentally forced another main character and a major supporting character to be in a relationship against their will for years. You know what? The thing as well, he wouldn't escape that either. His main love interest is now a rape victim by one of his best friends, caused by one of his other best friends' child. Steve Englehart would have trashed the entire cast with that and made it so that either a writer has to ignore it, which is awkward, or someone has to retcon it, which is even worse because that means they have to acknowledge it. They let a man like Steve Englehart, who was so oblivious to any comics besides his own, write not just Fantastic Fours, but Avengers and Silver Surfman, all of which he moulded into unlikable characters with dreadfully boring plots that only ever paid any heed to his own stories from the 70s, or were purpose made to allow Willow to step in at any time and take the lead. His Fantastic Force run, though, deplorable. His ideas were rotten, not just the rape ones. His notion that his opinion on the team is shared by everyone, that Mr. Fantasticals and Invisible Wife were despised by the readership, that the book had never been popular since Stanley Lee and Jack Quimby, that what people apparently want is a ragtag team that barely resembles the team people know, stumbling through the same sort of dry plots he was putting the West Coast Avengers through at the same time. I have said before, my history with Steve Englehart is that one of the first big runs I went back and read was West Coast Avengers, and he put me off the Avengers for a long time. I hated all 5 of the main West Coast Avengers for ages because of him and his writing. Hawkeye is a belligerent arsehole who has a Napoleon complex and is unwilling to support his wife after a rape. Mockingbird is a bitch. Even after being raped, he only ever writes her expressively as a bitch rather than ever a victim. Wonder Man is a smug and annoying, and in a rare moment of defence, Steve Englehart does at least have Wonder Man realise that and learn his lesson. Cheetah is the worst, and again evidence of his misogyny. She isn't raped, at least, but the other thing he does, and he does this with Iris West in Fantastic Force 2, he has the women who aren't raped be absolute unrepentant sluts. Cheetah fucks every guy who isn't married on that Avengers team and never considers any of their emotions or feelings that they might develop for her. Ant Gordon, Wonder Man, Moon Man, Iron Man, literally every male member who is not married and is in it for longer than an issue, she starts fucking. One of the few things that I liked in his West Coast Avengers run was Aunt Gordon's attempted suicides. And then I found out that that wasn't what he intended at all. He wanted to kill the character because he hated him, but the editor wouldn't let him. I'm getting a bit rambly here, so in conclusion, Steve Englehart's writing of characters, and especially of women, has an unparalleled capacity to break them forever. He writes bad comics and bad characters, and any defence of this run or West Coast Avengers is making excuses for him. He is someone who actively can turn people off characters. Everyone knows about Avengers 200 and how horrid it is, and how it makes every Avenger look like shit, and how its chief plot romanticises rape. But nobody is talking about how Steve Englehart's Fantastic Force run, or his West Coast Avengers run, are like Avengers 200 on repeat. He seems to aspire to Avengers 200. If he cannot write Willow, then he will try and write as many Avengers 200s as he can. Let's awkwardly cut back to Steve Englehart Fantastic Force. It's shit. It's shit. I hate this 7 thumbs up. I give it a 7 thumbs up hating.